friends, welcome to Leela's channel. In this video, we are going to this 10th standard Social History Unit 2 part 3 additional questions. Answer the following briefly. Write a short note on stock market crash in the US. The first huge crash occurred on 24 October 1929. The price of shares on the New York stock market fell sleepy. This discouraged investors and consumers to such an extent to sell their shares and dispose of their stocks. But there were no buyers. This was followed by the failure of American banks. The American franchises were forced to recall their own funds invested abroad. Define fascism. Fascism is a form of radical authoritarian, ultranationalism characterized by dictatorial power, forcible suppression of opposition, and strong regimentation of society and of the economy, which came to prominence in early 20th century Europe. Please like, share and subscribe Leela's channel. இந்த வீடியோ உங்களுக்கு ஷார்ட் வீடியோஸாகவும் கொடுத்துருக்கேன், பார்த்து பயன்பெறுங்க. வீடியோவை again and again போட்டு பாருங்க, ஆன்சர்ஸ் மெமரைஸ் ஆகும், எக்ஸாமில் ஃப்ளோ ஈஸியாக இருக்கும். ஆல் தி பெஸ்ட் ஃபார் யுவர் பப்ளிக் எக்ஸாமினேஷன். What is gold standard? Gold standard is a monetary system where a country's currency of paper money carried a value directly linked to gold. How did Nelson Mandela become the first black president of South Africa? Apartheid separateness first became the racial policy of the Nationalist Party in 1947. The African National Congress, which fought against the practice of the racialism, was banned and Mandela was put behind bars. Mounting pressure at the global level helped to end the racist regime. In 1990, the ban of ANC was lifted and Mandela was free. The Africans were allowed to vote and ANC won the election. Mandela became the first black president of South Africa. What was the policy of Nazis towards the Jews? Hitler's government followed a policy of repressing Jewish people. The Jews were removed from government positions, excluded from university and deprived of citizenship. Jewish business were closed down, their establishments were attacked, the Jews were tortured in the concentration camps. What is meant by decolonization? Decolonization is a process through which colonial powers transferred institutional and legal control over their colonies to the indigenous nationalist government. What are Afrikaners? Who are Afrikaners? The descendants of original Dutch settlers of South Africa were known as Afrikaners. They were also called Boers. Their language is Afrikaans. Answer the following in detail. What were the general developments in the world after the end of the war? The First World War led to the expansion of certain industries, but when the war came to an end, the industries that grew to meet the wartime requirements had to be abandoned or modified. The political complications caused by the Treaty of Versailles worsened the situation. The war placed a heavy burden of debt on every European country. Stock market crash in the US. The first huge crash occurred on 24th October 1929. This discouraged investors and consumers to such an extent that the people began to sell their shares and dispose of their stocks, but there were no buyers. This was followed by the failure of American banks. The American financiers were forced to recall their own funds invested abroad. Breakdown of the international system of exchange. Despite emergency measures such as cutbacks in expenditure and increased taxation, the situation did not improve in England. So England decided to leave the gold standard. Devaluation forced creditors to stop lending. This led to a worldwide credit contraction as its effect was deep and prolonged. Economists and historians call it the Great Depression repercussion in politics. The Depression changed the political conditions in several countries. In England, the Labour Party was defeated in 1931. In the US, Republican Party, which was responsible for the depression, was rejected by the people in the elections for about 20 years. Describe the fascist under Mussolini. In 1924 elections, 65% of the votes were cast for the fascist Matteotti. A socialist leader who questioned fairness of the election was murdered. suppression of opposition. The opposition parties boycotted the parliament in protest. Mussolini reacted by banning opposition parties and censoring the press. Opposition leaders were killed or imprisoned. Mussolini became a dictator. Assuming the title of two dues, the leader, in 1926, he became a dictator with power to legislate. He passed a law forbidding strikes and lockouts. Unions and employers were organized into corporation. In 1938, Parliament was abolished and was replaced by a body representing the fascist party and the corporations. This new arrangement bolstered Mussolini's dictatorial control of the economy and it enabled him to wield enormous powers. By the Lateran Treaty, Mussolini recognized the Vatican City as an independent state. In return, the Church recognized the Kingdom of Italy. Please like, share and subscribe Leela Kids channel. Write a paragraph on Boer War. The relations between the two British colonies in Natal and Cape Colony and the two independent Boer states of Transvaal and the Orange Free State had long been unfriendly. In 1986, gold was discovered in Transvaal, so a large number of British miners settled in and around Transvaal. The Boers referred to these people as Uitlanders, foreigners, and hated them. The Boers denied them political rights and taxed them heavily. So, the question was whether the British or the Boers were to be supreme in South Africa. Fearing attacks from the British, the Boers armed themselves and decided to attack. The Boer was lasted from 1899 to 1902. Italy, the Boers were successful. Later on, the Boers were defeated. But the Boers took to guerrilla fighting against the British. So the British destroyed farms and crops. They set up internment camps for Boer women and children. Shortage of food, medical and sanitary facilities resulted in the death of 26,000 people. The British annexed the two Boer states. However, the Boer were promised self-government in due course. In 1907, full responsible government was given to the Transvaal and Orange Free State. The four states formed into a union. In 1909, a union parliament was provided at Cape Town. The Union of South Africa came into being. Please like, share and subscribe Leela Kids channel. All the best for your public exam. Watch this video again and again. We can meet in the next video. Bye bye.